wrath of God, part 4, is what we are discussing this evening. Evangelist, welcome once again.
Thank you.
The wrath of God, part 4.
Right. Thank God for sparing our lives. We thank our viewers. We thank you very much that you have relentlessly supported this program. God bless you and keep you.
Amen.
We are praying that every money that you forward to support this program shall be fully rewarded by the grace of God.
Amen.
And we're still looking forward for support to continue. Please invite others to also join you viewing this program. And as the number increases, it will also help us to be able to sustain the payment on studio. God bless you. The wrath of God, part 4.
That's right.
That is what we're discussing. Now, I hope by now, those of you who have followed this program from the beginning of part 1 of the wrath of God, you will remember that we have said here, times without number, that when we say the wrath of God, it's also called the judgments of God.
That's right.
Also called the anger of God. And this is explained in the book of Revelation. You know, in the book of Revelation, it is called the plagues.
That's right.
The 7 last plagues. Yes. And we also said that the word last there indicates that there were some previous ones.
That's right.
Which eventually led to the beginning of the last segment.
That's
yes.
right.
Now also, you need to identify what the Bible calls as the plagues, the judgments of God. You need to identify them. That when they are happening, you can biblically locate what is happening, or you can easily locate what is happening by the Bible references.
That's right.
For example, in Ezekiel chapter 14 verse 21, he mentions 4 judgments.
That's right.
That is the famine, the sword, the noisome beast, and the pestilence.
Okay.
These are all plagues. Also, when Christ was speaking, he also mentioned in Luke chapter 21, 11 and 25, he mentioned great earthquakes.
That's right.
He also mentioned famines. He also mentioned pestilences, and then fearful sights and great signs.
That's right.
All this falls under the plagues. We are not making use of the biblical references. Therefore, sometimes we consider these things as natural disasters.
That's right.
That's what they called it on the other side of the coin.
Think alike with the scientists.
Yes. They are natural, though, yes, we agree. But the Bible is called the judgments of God. Now, Christ gave further signs in Luke 21:25, where he mentioned that there shall be signs in the sun, in the moon, and in the stars. It is another class or another group of plagues that will come. And then he added, on the earth there will be distress of nations with perplexity.
That's right.
And then he concluded the same verse 25, that the sea and the waves roaring.
That's right.
Okay. All these are plagues. We've identified them little by little. We also made mention that the plagues in the book of Revelation chapter 16 and that of Egypt in the days of Israel when they were about to begin the Exodus.
That's right.
Yes, both comes after time prophecies. That of Egypt followed the prophecy God gave to Abraham that after 400 years.
That's right.
And that of Revelation also follows the prophecy of Daniel 8:14.
That's
the
right.
2,300 years.
Days,
Yeah.
making years.
Yes,
That's
which
right.
terminates in 1844. Right. And when the period of the 2,300 years ended, then began the first angel's message.
Okay.
That fear God and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment is come.
That's right.
Yes, we touched these areas, and they are the pillars to help you understand the ministration of this plagues.
That's right.
We also said that the plagues comes gradually by it has the mixture of the grace and mercy of God at the beginning.
And that's right.
And then as we make progress to each final stages, God withdraws the mercy and grace and therefore the plagues come without mercy.
Mercy. That's right.
For example, in Genesis chapter 6 verse 3, we see over here that God said, "My spirit shall not always strive with man, for that is also flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years."
That's right.
So this means that there was a gradual withdrawal of the Spirit of God.
That's right.
Yes. So when the Spirit of God begins to withdraw, that is where grace and mercy also limits. Yes.
Okay.
So things begin taking the different features altogether. That is where you have the judgments of God coming, but mingled with
Calamity upon calamity.
yes, calamity upon calamity, yet mingled with grace and mercy, so that people could be aroused to do what is right before the Lord.
That's right.
But when it got to Genesis chapter 6 verse 13, where God said that the end of all flesh is come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them, and behold, I will destroy them with the earth. At that juncture, there was no mercy.
Okay.
Yes. At the beginning, he says his days shall be 120. So for 120 years, God was withdrawing his spirit gradually, and disasters will be following.
Okay.
Yes, in our day and age, it's the same thing. As it was in Egypt, yes, there was a gradual withdrawal of the mercy of God until it got to the final stage where there was no mercy. Fine. Now, having said this, let us now come home. Let us play it into our day and age.
That's right.
For us to understand that indeed the wrath of God is happening, you look at Revelation chapter 7, verse 1 to 3. We are told that 4 angels were seen holding the 4 corners, the 4 winds and the 4 corners of the earth. And what was their mission? Said that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. Actually, in prophecy, we understand that the wind means violence.
Violence, that's right.
Very good. And then in verse 2, it says that, "And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God. And he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels, to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea."
Okay.
So our viewers should understand that this earth will eventually be hurt by these 4 angels if they have not started. And the hurting of this earth by the 4 angels is done in the time of the plagues.
Okay.
That's how it works.
So as the plagues are coming to the earth, then the angels of the Lord are sealing God's
people.
Oh, okay.
So that those who understands the message of the first angel calling global attention that they should fear God and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment is come. The hour of his judgment coincides with the outpouring of the plagues with grace.
Okay.
So when those things begin to happen, men and women of God who are prophecy oriented, people who understand the prophecy, will clearly understand that no, those things which are happening are signs from the throne room, urging us to draw our attentions or to focus our mind on the Bible prophecy and also on the work that Christ is doing for us in the heavens above, which is the work of judgment. See, so during the time of the outpouring of the plagues with mercy, that's the time where the 144,000 are sealed.
Okay.
So when you are a living Christian in our day and age now, and you don't recognize these events, it is extremely impossible for you to even fall within those who shall be saved. Because that's how God speaks to us.
But most of the pastors of today, the so-called prophets and so, they don't preach about these things. So those in their churches, how are they going to get this message?
Yes, he says, "My sheep hear my voice, and they know me, and I know them."
Okay.
Yes. So those who are the sheep of the Lord, they will hear.
But those who have the conduct to listen to the truth,
yes,
God will lead them to the truth.
God will lead them to the truth. That's why we have been telling our people who listen to us time and again that as the world has divided herself now into 2, it has become so clear that the only safest place to be is to fellowship with the Seventh-day Adventists. It doesn't mean that every Seventh-day Adventist is an angel of the Lord.
No.
But we are saying that the teachings that the church has, follow those teachings and it will lead you to the gates of heaven.
That's right.
That I can promise you. Yes. Now, we should also understand that these sentinel angels, the 4 angels, they are the angels through whom the Lord will be withdrawing his grace.
Okay.
So we should be, one, conversant with the place, so that when they are happening, we can tell that yes, this is the handwriting of the Lord.
That's right.
Like the magicians in Egypt said,
This is the finger of God.
The areas to be visited includes the earth, the sea, and the trees. Those are Revelation 7.
That's right.
And then Christ added, there will be distress of nations. And then he added the sea also and the waves roaring.
That's right.
Yes. Within this time period, like we said, the sealing of the 144,000 will be going on concurrently as the first fruits. Just like Israel were the first fruit of God in Mizraim, whilst the plagues were falling. So they ran together. Now, the sealing comes with a message, which we said is Revelation 14, 6, 7. Those who obey this message to the very letter forms one group, and those who disobey forms another group. You know, it's something interesting in there in verse 8 of Revelation 14. When the first angel has said, fear God and give glory to him, for the hour of judgment has come, the response that the universe gave to the first angel necessitated the second angel to describe the response as Babylonish.
Okay.
You know, in verse 6 of Revelation 14, it says the angel was having the message to be given to the earth, 1, the nations, 2, kindreds, 3, tongues, 4, and people, 5. Why did the second angel say that Babylon is falling? He didn't repeat the nations, the earth, the kindred, tongues, and people, but he mentioned Babylon. Yes.
Which means confusion.
Yes. When the message came, the response that the earth gave made the angel to describe the whole situation as Babylonish. Therefore, Babylon is falling. So those who disobeyed the message of the first angel are grouped to be called Babylon. That's 14:8. And then additional warning and additional light was added to the first angel's message to warn the second and to warn people under the second message. And that was the third angel's message, which said, if any man worship the beast and his image, then the warning continued until we get to verse 11.
Okay.
So the message of the 3 angels, hinges on the first angel. He calls attention to the worship of the living God.
That's right.
And then the global response.
Beginning of his judgment.
Yes. And then the global response to the first angel's message wasn't good.
Okay.
So it was called Babylon is falling. And then the third angel followed that system which the world is adopting is Babylonish. It's a mixture of all pagan religions without respect to any other thing, without respect to Jehovah. So he warned that if you follow that one, you receive the mark of the beast.
That's right.
Now after he has warned, then he identified those who have kept the commandments of the Lord and the faith of Jesus. So that even if you were, excuse me to say with all respect, if you were that blind, he is telling you in verse 12 that here, he was pointing to a group of people. He says, here is the patience of the saints.
God is going to punish some people who are going to receive the mark of the beast and then worship the beast. And as he is going to punish them,
yes,
he is going to reward the obedient ones.
Very good.
And he is trying to portray them as the people who keep the commandments of God,
yes,
and have the faith of Jesus Christ.
Yes.
Wow.
So I'm glad that when the first angel has announced the arrival of God's judgment and what we should do, he told us that fear him and give glory to him.
That's right.
For his hour of judgment has come. And we all know that there is no court on this earth which doesn't operate on a constitution. You understand?
That's right.
Yes. And the constitution of heaven is the 10 commandments. So the angel is drawing our attention to the law of God. Lucifer broke, let me say Satan, so they understand who I'm talking of. Satan broke the 10 commandments of the Lord in the reverse order.
Okay.
By that I mean that the last of the 10 commandments says that thou shalt not covet. covetousness.
And that's right.
Yes.
And he wanted the position that does not belong to him.
Exactly. That's why he
And
began.
he was fighting for it.
You understand?
And that's right.
Now, the angel in the Revelation 14 is calling our attention to the judgment of God, and the judgment of God will lead to the obedience of the 10 commandments.
That's right.
Understand?
If you love me,
Keep my commandments. Ecclesiastes
The whole
12,
duty of
13,
a man
14. Yes, the
is
whole
to keep the commandment, the whole commandment
commandments of God. Yes. So the angel is calling our attention to what we should do. And having all those things at the back of our mind, now he points to the people who have endured all these trials. In verse 12 of Revelation 14, he says, here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of what? God. And the faith of Jesus is on the screen. So that was saying that if you didn't know anything at all, the angel is telling you that the only people
that will be
saved are people who keep the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus.
That's right.
So if somebody is telling you that God has no law, the law of God is not there, it has been nailed to the cross and all those things, please, the angel is telling you that if you want to be saved, keep the commandments of God and have the faith of Jesus.
You cannot separate the two.
No negotiation about this. Now, these are the only group which will be saved. One thing that I want to top up with before we bring
The videos. That's right.
Yes. See, the Bible says in Deuteronomy 19:15 and also in 2 Corinthians 13:1, it's on the screen. In 19:15 of Deuteronomy, it says, one witness shall not rise up against a man for any iniquity
Okay.
or for any sin in any sin that he sinned. At the mouth of two or three at the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses shall the matter be established. It means that God has given the authority that before a judgment is passed, at least a minimum of 2 or 3 people should testify to the issue.
Okay.
When you have gotten this, then you can establish your truth. Look at the 3 angels' message. The first angel's message was to the whole world, the earth, the nations, the kindreds, tongues, and people, everyone. Then the second angel followed, and the third angel followed. You have 3 witnesses.
That's right.
And when you come to chapter 8 in Revelation, the angel there only comes to augment the second angel's message.
That's right.
Because he repeats.
Come out of air, my
Yes,
people.
yes. He
So that
repeats.
you shouldn't
Yes,
be
therefore,
partakers
exactly.
of
He repeats
the
the
iniquities.
So Revelation 18 comes to repeat the second angel's message.
Okay.
Yes. So if God has given all these angels messages to be given to us, and we reject them, then it means that we have witnesses that testify against us. We have rejected the first angel's message, rejected the second angel, rejected the third angel's message, as well as the fourth, who comes in at the final stage of prophetic history. Now in Revelation 18:1, it says the angel there, he enters the atmosphere of this planet with a great power.
That's right.
That power comes as an additional light to augment the power behind the first angel's message. You know, the first angel's message began far back in 1844. And at its end, it needs additional force, power to finish the work.
That's
So
right.
Revelation 18:1 joins the first angel at the end, so the message can travel throughout the whole planet.
Is it the purpose of those people who are having double mind, or they don't know whether to go to left or right? After this angels, the fourth angel's message, then they will know where to go. Whether
Exactly.
to go on left or right.
And then, you know, we have come all the way from 1844. So the force and power in the message might have been watered down.
Oh, okay.
You see, when I
this
say might
one
have
is
been watered
to
down,
break and
yes, it means that the carriers of the message, with time, some might have passed on, and generations following wouldn't see the importance of the message. Actually, that message is a message of life and death.
That's right.
You see, and if the message is not part of you and you're not part of the message, it will be very difficult for you to present the message as it should go.
That's right.
For example, when the first and second generation of Israel came into Egypt, they had it in their minds at that time that they were to leave Mizraim, because the prophecy says it.
That's right.
But when the third generation joined, and then the fourth generation came, at that time the first and second generation have passed away. they didn't see the necessity of leaving Mizraim.
The relevance of
Yeah,
living
the
in
relevance of,
Egypt.
yeah, they didn't see it. Just like when the Jews were taken captive to Babylon, Daniel and co, they saw what happened when they were leaving Israel and when they got into Babylon. And then they heard Jeremiah prophesying that they will be back. So when that generation died, it was difficult for the remnant over there in Babylon to leave their mansions, their businesses, and come back and to restart life afresh in Jerusalem, a broken down city.
But Daniel and Co stood for the occasion.
They stood, but they died there in exile.
That's right.
You understand? So it is with the first angel's message. It arrived in 1844. So when it is progressing to its final end, it needs an additional force.
Okay.
And the angel of Revelation 18 comes to give it that power. And which in some theological circles we call it the latter rain. Yes. Which empowers the first angel's message and prepares a people for the coming of the Lord.
That's right.
That is why when you get to 18:4 and 5, he says, and I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of here, my people. Understand? So the Revelation 18 comes to give power to the first angel's message and repeats the fall of Babylon in 14:8, which happens in 18:2 and 3. Yes. So when this is happening, then the four angels of Revelation 7 loses the four winds gradually and communicates to the people on earth that mercy is about to cease. The Messiah, the high priest is about to finish his work.
That's right.
Therefore, with intensity, the people of God proclaims the final warning.
Wow.
You understand? And you see, you also need to look at the plagues and watch out if what you are seeing on earth is similar to what is described there in the plagues. These are the only things that we need to understand.
That's right.
So that at the time of the holding of the four winds by the four angels, you should expect the wrath of God to be poured on the earth. And that is when you have Revelation chapter 15 verse 1 coming, and 16:1. 15:1 and 16:1 are the same. In 15:1 it says, and I saw another sign in heaven, great and marvelous, 7 angels having the 7 last plagues, for in them is filled up the wrath of God. And then when you get to 16:1, it says, and I heard a great voice out of heaven, out of the temple, saying to the 7 angels, go your ways and pour out the vase of the wrath of God upon the earth. Yes. So 15:1 and 16:1 are the same paradigm.
That's right.
Now, when the plagues begins to fall, that is where our viewers should be very, very watchful. Because the Bible is self-explanatory. The Bible interprets itself.
That's right.
Now, we have already been told, and we have given the quotes previously, but to refresh those who have just joined us, there will be trouble coming from the sun. It will produce famine. It will give us pestilence. There will be great earthquakes. There will be sword. There will be fearful sights and noisome beasts. All this will happen in diverse places.
Okay.
Christ has told us. And he also told us that the sea and the waves will be roaring.
That's right.
So make a list
and
of
the world will be perplexed.
Yes.
That's right.
So make a list of these things and see whether these events are happening. Don't attribute it to any other source than the true source that is coming from the four angels. Yes.
Okay.
Now in Revelation 16:3 says the second angel poured out his vial upon the sea, and it became as the blood of a dead man, and every living soul died in the sea.
That's right.
That is Revelation 16:3. Now let's explain with videos 1 and 2.
Okay. But all these ones, all these things, those people who understand are those who have fortified their minds with the scripture.
With the word of God.
Without it, you will not understand
Impossible.
it. Okay. Production, if you are ready, please, let's start rolling the videos. That's videos 1 and 2. Please roll them for us.
Take a breath. Half of the oxygen on Earth comes from the trees, the other half from the ocean. It is necessary to the survival of all life on our planet. But today, the ocean is losing oxygen, and we should be worried.
Deoxygenation is a complicated word, I guess, for something which is relatively straightforward in one sense, and that's the fact that the ocean, like the atmosphere, contains oxygen, and it's the reduction in the amount of oxygen available in the ocean.
In both coastal areas and the open ocean, the disappearance of oxygen leads to dead zones, where life can't survive. This phenomenon is the consequence of various human activities, and also climate change.
Nutrient inputs from human activities, things like nitrogen and phosphorus coming from fertilizers, from farmland, coming from sewage, fossil fuel combustion in power plants and automobiles, fertilize the water and grow phytoplankton. And as we get all this additional biomass, all these plants and animals growing, and they die, microbes then decompose them and use up oxygen in the process. There are physical conditions that are also important. Climate change is increasing the temperature of the water column becomes stratified, and that keeps oxygen from the atmosphere from mixing into the water and replenishing oxygen.
Sweden's idyllic Baltic coast. A chilly spring has held back the tide of domestic tourists expected to hit these beaches due to foreign travel restrictions. But it's not such a pretty picture under the water. Rising global temperatures and the impact of fertiliser and sewage have caused huge areas with no or very little oxygen, known as dead zones.
The Baltic Sea is the largest human-induced dead zone in the world. It is somewhere around 70,000 square kilometers, and it can increase global warming at a rapid rate.
The Baltic zone may be the biggest, but the problem is worldwide, increasing by millions of square kilometers in the past half-century. These so-called dead zones are either in small pockets along the coast where they lose or gain oxygen according to the seasons, or they're far out to sea where they can be pretty much permanent, cover vast distances, and they get worse the deeper you go. Seas like the Baltic have been a buffer against climate change, absorbing excess heat and carbon dioxide. But tests have shown that as surface water heats up, oxygen from the atmosphere can no longer get through, creating the dead layer beneath. So sea floors that should be full of vegetation and life are empty. It's one of the reasons cited in cases where thousands of dead fish have been washed up on beaches. Solutions have been tested in the Baltic, such as a wave-powered device to pump oxygen down below.
Welcome once again. Please, you can also join us on Facebook. Just go to Homebase TV. You'll see the feed over there, like the program, and then share it for us so that other people can also get access to the program. And then our brothers and sisters who are also watching us on BATV, that's Trinity TV, we welcome you this evening. Forgive me for not giving you a mention at the beginning of the program. Even if we post some videos.
Yes. Now, the angel told us that when the plagues begin to fall, the sea will become like the blood of a dead man. And all it means that when oxygen is taken out of the human being,
you are dead.
You are dead. And we know that the sea contains oxygen.
That's right.
And they are calling a scenario which is happening now on the high seas deoxygenation. It means that the amount of oxygen in the oceans is gradually wearing out or finishing. And then the second video also, we saw scientists trying to breathe some oxygen into the ocean. Yes, it has never happened before.
Artificial
yes,
oxygen.
That was in May 2021, just last year. And the other scientist who was in the first video, that was in 2019. So these are fresh things which are happening. Now they should go back into history and find out if this thing has ever happened in Earth's history. They should check the Genesis Book of Record. It has never happened. And the only book to have prophesied that the sea will eventually become like the blood of a dead man is the Bible. And where is it written? Only in Revelation chapter 16, where you have the wrath of God. So these are beginning of the wrath of God mixed with mercy. Thank God it is not the total oceans, the Indian Ocean, Atlantic Ocean, whatever you put, the Pacific, not at every place. But the video is about 70,000 square kilometers have now been declared dead. I mean, fishes.
No living thing can live.
You cannot sustain life over there, and no wonder fishes are dying and they are popping up offshore, and they are attributing it to other sources. We'll come to that maybe from next week.
That's right.
Now that wasn't the end. The four angels are in charge of the sea. So when these things are happening, you should understand. And then Christ also said there shall be signs in the sun. Let's share Revelation chapter 16, verse 8 and 9, and then we just support that with the next videos. Right?
Okay.
Yes. So we can read from Revelation 16, 8 and 9. It says, and the fourth angel poured out his vial upon the sun, and power was given to him to scorch men with fire.
Wow.
And men were scorched with great heat, and blasphemed the name of God, which hath power over these plagues, and they repented not to give him the glory.
The glory, that's right.
The next videos.
Production, video 3 to 5. Please roll them for us.
We move on now to the devastation in the West. The Dixie Fire in Northern California raging right into the record books. The state's third largest wildfire in history now, with little signs of slowing down. Several people are missing. Heartbreaking images out of the gold rush era town of Greenville. Dozens of homes and businesses now gone. ABC's Zareen Shah reporting tonight from the fire lines.
Tonight, the largest wildfire in the nation continues to torch communities across California. The Dixie Fire rapidly exploding across 4 counties, burning nearly 450,000 acres, overwhelming firefighters. The containment level dropping overnight to just 21%. Authorities say 4 firefighters injured fighting the blaze, 1 recovering in the hospital. 5 people are now missing as the devastation of the fire is starting to emerge. More than 260 homes and businesses destroyed. In the town of Greenville, nothing but charred foundations and piles of ash. It looks like this for blocks. Homes and buildings that have withstood the test of time for over 100 years decimated, and car after car like this. Metal from this car turned into a puddle on this road. We went to the nearby town of Quincy, where residents have been evacuated, and met Teresa Hatch, who says she doesn't know where she and her family will go.
How are you supposed to start over? Where do you even begin to start over? Look at all these people that are misplaced now. Where are they going to go?
More than 90 fires are burning throughout the West. The smoke from those fires spreading as far as the San Francisco Bay Area, causing residents to keep windows and doors shut. Even in Las Vegas, where the world-famous Strip is now hidden behind a smoky fog. Extreme heat and historic drought are now contributing to what is becoming the worst fire season in California.
A state of emergency in Colorado, with thousands of people fleeing their homes as 2 fast-growing wildfires fueled by hurricane-force winds destroyed hundreds of homes. More than 17,000 people are still without power across the state. CNN's Lucy Kavanaugh live in Denver with more. Lucy?
John, this has been absolutely catastrophic and devastating for Colorado. This is already being described as the most destructive wildfire in Colorado history, with more than 500 homes burned. The expectation, unfortunately, is as day breaks, those numbers may rise.
2 wind-fueled wildfires sweeping through parts of Boulder County, Colorado on Thursday.
This fire is frankly a force of nature. Gusts of 100, 110 miles an hour can and have moved this fire down a football field in a matter of seconds,
prompting the governor to declare a state of emergency, forcing tens of thousands of people to evacuate.
When I was trying to load up my car, you could hear cars going through, like police cars, fire trucks, something like that, going through the neighborhood on a bullhorn telling everyone to evacuate.
I grew up in Louisiana. I've seen hurricanes, nothing like this.
Dry air, drought conditions, and hurricane-like winds from 80 to 100 miles per hour, with gusts reported up to 115 miles per hour, fed the quickly spreading wildfires, unusual for this time of year in Colorado.
This has been very uncharacteristic for December. We've been talking about, everybody's been talking about just the crazy weather, the lack of snow and lack of moisture. Unfortunately, this is one of the results that you see from this, the dry conditions.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Videos posted to social media show horrifying scenes. In Superior, customers flee a windy Costco parking lot, heavy smoke making visibility difficult. And inside a Chuck E. Cheese.
Hello and welcome. Dozens of people in the Vancouver area of Western Canada have died in an unprecedented heat wave. Police say they've responded to almost 70 sudden deaths since Monday. Most of those who died were elderly. It has been extremely hot, temperatures very challenging. A new all-time record of 49.5 degrees Celsius, that's just over 121 Fahrenheit, was set on Tuesday. In the US as well, it's been hot in the Pacific Northwest, dangerous heat levels there. This is Portland, Oregon at 46.1 Celsius and more than 42 Celsius in Seattle as well. We're going to take you live to Seattle in a few moments. We'll also be asking how much climate change is contributing to the heat. First though, this report from Tim Muffet.
In sweltering temperatures, help for the homeless in Edmonton, Alberta.
Welcome once again, but let me put on record that the videos that we are watching are not fiction. They are reality that is going on around the world. So please take note of that. Evangelist,
yes.
This is serious.
These are just a few ones. Time will not permit us, to run and run and run.
These things are not happening because a fuel tank has gotten involved in an accident or something.
That is what they call heat wave. Where is the heat coming from? From the sun.
That's right.
Didn't Christ say there shall be signs in the sun? And what else are we expecting? People are dying. People are dying. How could heat get to a certain level so much that human beings become uncomfortable, and the only comfortable place for the human being to go was to go to death and die?
Wow.
It doesn't make sense. Yes, but these things are happening. They are safer dead than living. You cannot think of it.
Because 49.5 degrees Celsius. You can't bear it.
That's the heat. And towns like California, Colorado, British Columbia, parts of Canada are in trouble.
Wow.
You heard a gentleman saying that in December, this was last year, December, where we know it was winter, sea fire.
So they were expecting extreme
yes.
cold.
When they were expecting snow, they were giving fire.
Wow.
Another sign in Luke 21:25, it says, and there shall be signs in the, when he says there shall be signs in the sun, the moon, and the stars, he mentioned, and upon the earth, the sea and the waves will be roaring.
That's right.
Very good. Let's get the chance of next videos.
Okay. Production, videos 6 to 9. If you are ready, please roll them for us.
I start driving away because I have to, you can still look back on. Okay, sit.
This is Waladuna Mosque in Jakarta. Its roof is in ruins. Moss covers the walls, and seawater flows through every corner of it. The last time people prayed here was in 2001, back when it was above ground. Today, it's a warning sign. It signals what could happen to Indonesia's capital city if things don't change soon. Because even though Jakarta faces the same rising sea levels as other coastal cities around the world, that's not quite what we're looking at here. Jakarta is sinking.
Once again, we've watched the videos and we'll go to Evangelist for the explanation.
Now says the fourth angel poured the wrath of God on the sun.
That's right.
And then heat. This heat eventually affects the glacier, or let me say snow, for the frozen part, the frozen part of the
ocean. That's right.
And then as it melts into the oceans, it gives the sea level to rise.
That's right.
Hence, the second video says Jakarta is sinking, Indonesia. And that video, it says the mosque there, the last time people worshiped there,
mosque. That's right.
Was around 2001. Now it's about 20 years plus. The whole city is underwater now. Wow. Because of the sun's activities. And it is increasing. You saw the world map where it gives the animation of how the oceans will be covering the world. And within few years, Ghana was in the blue waters.
Meaning
that the sea.
We are no more having a dry land.
Yes, we are
under the sea.
We are under the sea.
Wow.
And the last, with the fourth one, it says that by the end of this century, that's when all these things is estimated to have taken place. Wow. By the end of this century. So we are in 2022. So we are looking at about 78 years more. And about 3/4 of this earth will be under the sea. As a result of the sun's activities, which is dissolving or melting the glaciers into the oceans.
And this brings the question that somebody asked the other day, that God promised Noah that he is no more going to use flood or water to destroy the world. Then why this?
Yeah, this is not flood coming from the heavens. We will talk about that one. But these are signs from the sea.
That's right.
You are told. Yes.